Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all Cubs fans around the world. Welcome back to the Waveland and Sheffield Podcast, episode number 5, I believe. Today, it is the day before spring training begins for the Cubs. And when I mean spring training, I'm talking about the games. It is currently 2:26 p.m., Thursday, February 19th, 2026. And there's a lot of stuff to dig into. I've been busy, but I just don't want to make that as an excuse. I want to keep getting out content as much as I possibly can, and I need this podcast to kind of go off, and I want to take off, and it's on me to be able to give you guys the best content. So enough yapping. Let's get into Cubs yap. All right, so this offseason, right, we came off of a brutal Game 5 loss to the Milwaukee Brewers in the NLDS. We were one win away from the NLCS. We were down 2-0 in the series. We won 2 straight. Brad Keller, he did his thing in the playoffs. And the Chicago Cubs, things were looking good, man. You know, you had that Game 1 against the Padres. Nick Pivetta was actually doing really good against us up until the 5th inning. You know, Seiya Suzuki, who did really good in the postseason, able to carve off a home run, and Carson Kelly came up with a big homer. You know, the bullpen, for the most part, just the entire playoffs did their thing. Drew Pomeranz, Brad Keller, he was closing games for us. Daniel Palencia came up clutch, throwing 100. He was not closing for us, but he was there like 5th, 6th inning for each game. Caleb Theobar was doing his thing, you know. Just a plethora of guys doing their thing. I don't know, I can't remember if Mike Soroka pitched in the playoffs or not. I do remember Aaron Savali pitching in the playoffs, the Game 1 where we got blown out by the Brewers. But overall, man, good pitching, bad offense in the playoffs. And that brings to me what is going to happen in the offseason, or what happened in the offseason, right? So one of the problems was actually starting pitching. Believe it or not, why that Game 1 against the Brewers was so bad. Matthew Boyd, I like Matthew Boyd, but obviously he didn't have a good start, and we just didn't have the pitching depth. And we had fucking Shota Imanaga pitch terrible in Game 2 of the NLDS, and so bad to the point where our coaching staff didn't have confidence in him to start in a Game 5, in a win-or-go-home game, to fucking take us to the NLCS. One series win away from the World Series. Like, you gotta be able to trust your guys, and Shota was struggling really bad, especially giving up the home run ball, to the point where they just didn't start him. And we had Cade Horton, who did really good towards the end of the season. You know, overall, he just had a really good season. The problem was he got hurt after we clinched the playoffs against the Pirates, and he was basically out for the rest of the season. And there was rumors, maybe he could start in a potential Game 5 if there is one, if the Cubs even get to one, and which we did, but he wasn't healthy enough. So the best case scenario for him would have been starting in the NLCS if we won that Game 5, which, you know, that would have been great. But that's what it really comes down to, is starting pitching. And then the offense, you know, they were really good last year. We had a plethora of 30 home run hitters: Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki, Pete Armstrong, Kyle Tucker. He got hurt, but you know he's got that 30 home run power in him, and we'll get to him in a little bit. But yeah, man. So obviously there were some holes that we need to fix, and some guys coming off the books like Brad Keller. And we did a lot this offseason, believe it or not. It started off feeling boring, but if you look at it now, it's not bad. We got a plethora of bullpen guys: Phil Maton, Hobie Milner, Hunter Harvey, which Hunter Harvey I really like. He's got good velocity. This bullpen could use some velocity. Obviously, we have Daniel Palencia, but a lot of our guys are, you know, guys that don't like pitch with velocity. They more like to pitch to contact, and I respect that honestly, and I really like the Cubs pitching lab and what they're able to do. They're able to turn guys' careers around, on minor league deals, kind of like what the Brewers do. So I do like this Cubs pitching lab, and what I can respect about pitching to contact is that you have a really good infield, a really good defense all over. So you pitch to contact, you can rely on the guys behind you to make the plays and get the outs. So I really do respect that. But it would be nice to have some velocity besides Daniel Valencia, and Hunter Harvey, I believe, can bring that. And maybe he can be a closer this year. Brad Keller did have velocity, but obviously he got paid the big bucks by the Phillies. I think like 2 years, $22 million, making $11 million a year. Which I honestly think that the Cubs could have afforded that, but whatever. I trust this pitching lab to do their thing. But honestly, like, as far as the bullpen is gone, they weren't really like that much of a problem. But honestly, the issue more so was the starting pitching, and the Cubs actually don't have a bad starting pitching staff. I guess the problem was they do go on streaks where they end up not being good. So like late June, we had a lot of conversations about the starting pitching. Oh, we can't have Colin Ray starting every fifth day, or we can't have Javier Sach starting every fifth day, stuff like that. But the good thing is that the Cubs, they added Edward Cabrera, which again, velocity, right? We talk about velocity, and they're gonna get Justin Steele back this season, probably like late May, most likely June, probably. But addressing the elephant in the room, Edward Cabrera, I guess my only concern with him is just durability. Is he going to stay healthy during the season? Because he has this stuff, and I do trust this Cubs pitching lab. And with the defense behind him, I do trust him to have a good season with the Cubs, or just have a good tenure with the Cubs up until his contract expires. And obviously that'll come later. See if the Cubs extend him or not. But you have multiple years of control. He has a good pitching arsenal. The dude has a 97-mile-per-hour changeup. I mean, the guy's just, he's awesome. Or I think that the 97-mile-per-hour changeup, that's not like his thing he does on a regular, but I think it happened once or something. So yeah, he has a filthy changeup. And that just further adds to the starting pitching that they have. The problem is just durability, I guess. Guys like him, Matthew Boyd, he's always been on the IL. He did stay healthy last year, which thank goodness, but is that going to sustain? Is he going to stay healthy? We saw rumors about Zach Gallen, and I really wanted him. Obviously, he re-signed a 1-year deal with the Diamondbacks, and the thing is, I wouldn't have mind the Cubs signing him because, one, you can never have enough pitching, and with starting pitching and with the durability that we've seen with the Cubs, at least over the past couple of years, nothing against Colin Ray or Javier Sach. They're awesome. They eat up innings, but you want guys with upside, and you don't want to have to go to them necessarily all the time every fifth day. Yeah, an emergency, but you don't always want to be in those emergencies. You want to have the most upside, and I don't even mind having a 6-man rotation, and you might even have one this year. Think about the starting pitching. You got Matthew Boyd, Edward Cabrera, Shota Imanaga. You're going to have Justin Steele back at some point. You have J-Mo Tyone. Dude, you have so much pitching. Just the thing. Oh, Cade Horton. Why didn't I mention his name? I just mentioned his name like a few minutes ago. The thing is, I would have liked to sign Zach Gallen because I don't want to be in another scenario where, say, we're in the playoffs and we need a guy for Game 5, and we just end up freaking throwing a bullpen game, and we threw plenty of bullpen games in the playoffs, and it's just that's just not the way to go all the time. I mean, in some instances, yes, it is the way to go. It actually won us some games, but I just don't know if that's sustainable, especially in the playoffs. Obviously the playoffs are shorter, but this team has it in them to make a long run. But man, I just don't want to be in another situation where, say, Shodi Managa struggles, and then you have to put him in a game, or he's due up to, pitch in a game 5, but you don't trust him to put him in game 5, so you're going to end up doing a bullpen game. It's like, no. And that's why you did add Eddie Cabrera, and you're getting Justin Steele next. So yes, you have more durability, but well, what if Matthew Boyd gets hurt? What if Cabrera gets hurt? Freaking Cade Wharton got hurt, and you really could use them that game 5. You know what I mean? So it's it just really comes down to durability. But yeah, that's enough really with the pitching. I kind of have been on a rant about it, but the good thing is that there is a high floor, especially with the defense that we have. So, that's good. And then let's get into the offense. All right, so big elephant in the room. Kyle Tucker's no longer a Chicago Cub. He signed with the Dodgers, 4 years, $240 million. He's making $60 million a year, some deferrals, whatever. Dodgers, no one likes them, and obviously them getting Kyle Tucker makes it even worse. But I want to bring up something that not a lot of Cubs fans bring up, and that was, and I know 2024 was already 2 years ago, but think about 2024, right? Obviously not the same roster, but still a lot of the same core guys, right? And the thing is, what was one of the biggest things that we struggled with at times? Offense, right? With a pretty similar roster. And the thing is, we didn't have that difference maker. We had a bunch of good guys, a bunch of good supporting cast guys, but we didn't have that difference maker. We didn't have that game changer, right? And then last offseason, we traded for Kyle Tucker. And, dude, for the first half of the season, and it's not even like we were a bad team, but for the first half of the season, our offense was elite. And you know why? It's because a lot of our guys didn't feel the pressure to have to be that guy. Because Kyle Tucker really is that dude. And I know people are going to, have some controversies. They're going to call me dumb about that. But I really do believe it. Dude, not only was he doing good himself, but you saw this offense do way better than they did any year. Any year. Obviously, it was only Michael Busch's second year. But drastic move up from, he had 13 more home runs, way higher batting average, way higher OPS. He had like 100 points higher in his OPS. PCA, dude had a 30-30 season. Seiya Suzuki and part of it is due to durability, but dude, he hit freaking 30 home runs for the first time in his career. But not just that, dude, he hit like 25 in the first 90 games or something like that. And obviously the offense did take a big step down in the second half. Part of it is due to slumps happening. Even Kyle Tucker wasn't doing his best, and when Kyle Tucker's not doing his best, then what's the rest of the offense gonna do? And if Kyle Tucker's not gonna do good, then you need Seiya Suzuki to do good. Slumps happen. But I really do think that not bringing Kyle Tucker back, obviously it's over with, but I really wanted him back, because you don't make it to the playoffs if you don't have those types of elite offensive months that you had with Kyle Tucker being the difference maker there. Now, I will say, one other problem besides not having a difference maker in previous years is having a leadership guy. And that leads us to an even bigger elephant in the room. We talked about the big offseason addition in Edward Cabrera. We haven't talked about Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman, one of the best third basemen in the league, signs a 5-year, $175 million deal with the Chicago Cubs. And with that, it's a huge signing. It's a great signing. He can put up like an 800, 830 OPS, 130 OPS plus. Now, I don't know how the ballpark is necessarily going to be able to play out well with Alex Bregman, but, one thing I do see well is that Alex Bregman can hit the gaps well. And the Cubs have one of the shortest gaps in the league, despite having a ballpark that's not necessarily the most hitter-friendly unless the wind is blowing out. So, if he's able to hit the gaps well, then, he can still have that OPS be on over 800. And hopefully that's enough to where everyone else can do their thing. I talked about Kyle Tucker being the difference maker because everyone else got the easy pitches and he did get the hard pitches. And that's not my opinion. That's a freaking fact. You watch the games, he got the harder pitches. Everyone else got the easy pitches. Hopefully, it can stay the same with Alex Bregman. I don't necessarily have any bad thing to say with the Cubs. I do believe that they could be better than last year. One, because Alex Bregman does bring the leadership standpoint. So, like, basically, whenever the offense struggles, whenever the team struggles, I feel like he could be the guy, wake the team up, and be like, hey, man, we don't play like that. This is not us. We're better than this. And they don't have, like, such bad slumps, you know? He's a great offensive player who can put up power. Now, does he have that 30 home run power in him? I believe he does. Is it going to happen? I don't think so, personally. Maybe 25, hopefully. I mean, 30 would be awesome, dude. The more 30 home run hitters you could have on the Cubs, dude, the better you're going to be. We didn't have a single 30 home run hitter in 2024. We went 83 and 79, and we had plenty last year, and we made the playoffs, and we were one win away from the NLCS, so we did make it really far. This year, I would say, for me, it's NLCS or bust. We're one win away, and this team, objectively, despite losing Kyle Tucker, did get better. You added to your starting pitching staff, right? You added a third baseman, and that's not even, dude, like, you have multiple guys coming up as well. Like, you're going to have Moises Ballesteros come up, and it could add power to your lineup. So this team, you're going to see more opportunities with the younger guys. And even Matt Shaw, like, yes, Alex Bregman signs with the Cubs. He's going to play third base every day. That doesn't exclude Matt Shaw. You know, if Alex Bregman ever takes a day off, there's opportunities for Matt Shaw. You know, obviously, Moises Ballesteros, he's not very good against lefties. So then what's going to happen? Well, Seiya Suzuki will play DH that day, and you have Matt Shaw in right field. And I really do believe in the development of Matt Shaw. You know, I feel like people, you know, talk him down too much and want to trade him, and I understand he didn't have the best season last year, but dude, his second half was awesome, and I think he had an OPS above 800, you know, so you got to take that into account. Yeah, man, the Cubs, they have a very low floor, they have depth, they have talent. Is the offense going to be as good as last year? I don't know, but I do think the pitching's going to be better. And the pitching was already good because we have Tyler Zombro and Tiny Hottovy doing their thing. And Alex Bregman, he's going to bring that leadership, and I know the Cubs have liked that. And maybe that can change Craig Counsell's attitude, you know? So, yeah, man. There's a lot to look forward to. JMO's starting tomorrow. I believe it's 2:05 p.m. start at Sloan Park against the Chicago White Sox. So, we'll see how all that goes. I will be making about 1 to 2 episodes every week, maybe more, we'll see. But yeah, I also do a lot more on my other channel, Mal Cubby, where I do a lot of baseball reactions, some basketball reactions, so please make sure to check that out. But this is the Waveland and Sheffield Podcast, where you will get exclusive Cubs content every week, at least twice a week. So thank you guys for listening. I want to be able to get as much content as I can to you guys. So just please bear with me, and have a great rest of your Thursday. Go Cubbies. And hey, man, so excited to start this season. I can't wait.